Sewlush, easy projects fully explained. How to make a coat hanger that's a zipped pocket. Hello, I'm Christine from Sewlush. I'm going to make a coat hanger holder, and I thought I'd do a tutorial on it just so you can see what I'm doing and how handy they are. The first thing you need is some fabric. I've laid my fabric on the fold, and I'm cutting the lining and the outside of the fabric from the same fabric, but you might like to have a different lining fabric, in which case you need to cut two of the main fabric and then two in lining. So this is what you need to do. You need to draw around your coat hanger, and to start with you need a straight piece at the top, and this straight piece is 3.5 centimetres wide and 2 centimetres from the side of the coat hanger. And then you need to draw around your coat hanger, but you want to be 1 centimetre away, or 1/2 inch away from the side of your hanger. So just take your pen and draw. Come around the end of your coat hanger, and then you want to use your ruler and just rule down the sides. And then you want to measure from the curve of the coat hanger straight down, and it's 23 centimetres, which is 9 inches from the top of the curve down to where we're going to be doing our straight line. And then you need to just measure straight across from 23 centimetres or 9 inches. I'm going to cut this out. So this is the shape that you end up with, and then I'm using that then as the pattern for my next cut. So just lay your pattern on the fabric and then just cut around your original piece. So now I've got 4 pieces and they're exactly the same. And now I'm going to use 2 pieces of fusible interfacing to interface the pieces of our pattern. So I need to lie it down, face down. Interfacing everything except this little bit at the top, this little tab that we've cut at the top. This is medium weight violin fusible interfacing, and then I just need to cut around this and apply it to the other side. So now I've completed that. I've got the interfacing on both pieces, and you'll see I haven't given you many measurements for this project, and that's because some of it depends on the size of your coat hanger. So that's why I've suggested you just lie the coat hanger on the fabric and draw around it, because I don't know exactly what size of coat hanger you might be using. So having got this far, we're now going to add a zip, and I can tell you that the zip needs to be just a little bit longer than the width of your project. So mine's just hanging over the ends of the project like that. And then what you need to do is you need to take one of the interfaced pieces and one of the pieces that aren't interfaced, and lie them one on top of the other. And then you need to take a ruler, and you want to be around about 4 centimetres, which is 1.5 inches from the top of the curve, and then just draw a straight line across there. I'm just pinning the 2 pieces together, avoiding the line I've just drawn, and then you just want to cut straight across that line through both pieces of fabric. So now we've got something that looks like that. And now you're going to just remove those pins and put the zip into place. So to put the zip into place, you're going to first of all make some zip ends. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that metal chunk off the end of my zip. Taking an offcut of that fabric, I'm going to make some zip ends. I've made my zip ends 12 centimetres long and 6 centimetres wide, and that's 4 3/4 inches long and 2 1/4 inches wide. So it looks like that. And then what you want to do next is you want to fold up the bottom and fold down the top, and then fold over to the centre, and then you've got something that looks like that. And do the same with the other one. So now I've got 2 of these the same size, and they go on the end of the zip. So you just tuck your zip inside like that. And then you're going to measure across from one side to the other of your item. So that's how wide my fabric is for measuring my zip. And then you need to make sure that the zip pull is halfway along, and you're going to snip off those ends as well. And then you're going to put these 2 ends into the zip end as well. So put them in and make sure that they're close together, because they're separate at this end, it's a bit harder, and then just pin them into place. This is what you've got. And I'm just going to take it over to my machine, and I'm going to stitch across the bottom here on both pieces. So I've got these stitched into place now, and I'm going to give them a trim to make them the same width as the zip. So that's what the ends look like now. And then taking one side of these two pieces that we've cut, we're going to pin the zip into place. Working with the top part of the item, you want to have the zip going along the top, and it's the cut edge that we're doing, and then you want the lining on top of that, so that you've got your zip trapped in between the two pieces, and the two pieces are right side together. And then once you've done that, take it over to the machine and stitch straight along here to trap that zip in between those two pieces. And you're doing the top of the zip. You can see if I fold it back that it's the top of the zip that you're stitching. And now you're going to do the same with the bottom. So you're going to place the two pieces right sides to the zip. Like that. And you're just going to stitch along again where the zip is. Okay, so now I've got my zip completely sewn in. And now I'm going to start on the little tab at the top that we cut. So what you're going to do with this is you're going to turn it over once and then turn it over again, so that you get a little seam that looks like that, and do it for both sides. Okay, so now you've got this part done. You've got your zip in, and you've got the front and back of the front completed. So that's the front and the lining completed. So next you need to take the other two pieces, and lie them wrong sides together. And I'm just going to put a couple of clips in here to keep them in the right place. And then you're going to go back over to your machine and do it what you did last time. Just turn that under and under like that. When you've completed both of these turned under, they need to be stitched straight across, and you also need to do the same with this one, so stitch it straight across the top. Okay, so now I've got the front done and I've got the back done at the top like that, and then I'm going to lay the front onto the back like so, and then I have to go around and secure it with some bias binding, and I'm using some quite wide bias binding. I can tell you exactly how wide it is. It is 2.5 inches wide, which is 6.5 centimetres wide. And then starting at the top, I'm going to do my bias binding front and back all together at the same time, a single sew. But if you're not comfortable doing that, or you've decided that for whatever reason you don't want to do it like that, You can stitch the bias binding on this way. So turn one folder up and stitch it along here, and then when it's stitched you can fold it over and stitch down the other side like that. So hopefully that either one of these methods will be useful to you, but I'm going to do the single method. The single method is to place it midway on the fold on the edge of the fabric, and then just go around the fabric and put it in the fold like that, and then make sure it's in as far as it can go, and then clip it with these little plastic clips. Continue on all around the edge, and then we're going to stitch it. When you get to a corner like this, you're going to have to make a mitre so that it can go around the corner. And to do that, I just clip it quite close to the corner, turn it around the corner, and then clip it again, which will leave you with this little poke up of fabric. So in order to make a mitre, you just fold the fabric on the corner into a little triangle like so, and then fold the triangle down, and that'll give you quite a neat mitre. And do the same on the back. So I've now completed my attaching my bias binding prior to sewing, and now I'm going to take this over to my machine and I'm going to stitch around the edges. As you can see, I've now finished stitching the bias binding around the edges, and all I have to do now is put the coat hanger inside. This can now hang in the wardrobe amongst my clothes, and I can use it for keeping socks or jewellery or tights, scarves, anything like that in it. I'm using mine for when we go away in our caravan, and I can keep things that I don't wish to leave out in view in the caravan. I can put them in here and hang it in the wardrobe and feel it's relatively safe in there.